Luis Alfonso Abril is a Colombian cowboy singing about living in harmony with nature. This song says it is man's responsibility to conserve what God gave. But for Abril, this is more than just a song. It's a way of living. Abril produces everything he eats. He proudly says the only thing he has to purchase is salt, rice, and clothing. The rest he takes from the land. This is a good thing. The farm is a 6-hour drive from the nearest town market. A decade ago, when Abril bought his finca La Esperanza, Farm of Hope, things were different. The 136 hectares of land were up for sale because the land was said to be infertile. Now it's home to 50 cows, pigs, chickens, and a wide variety of vegetables, fruits like bananas and mango, as well as carbohydrates like Colombian yuca.
Toca con la palanca, ahora sí. Eso era como si usted mirara una placa de cemento. El pasto en el invierno no era un pasto así como se ve ahora, que bueno, agradable y de buen color. Pero ahora, en el lapso de este tiempo, en el transcurrir del proceso, hombre, ya es totalmente diferente, porque es un suelo que hasta de a pie puede andar uno.
How did things change on this land? Sustainable cattle ranching. Abril says a cattle rancher who isn't a farmer first has no clue about nature. It all starts with healthy soil. He stopped using traditional cattle ranching practices like burning grass to fertilize the ground.
Número 1, eliminando medicamentos veterinarios. Número 2, el tema de las quemas o los incendios, la candela como llamamos. 0 quemas. Porque esto, para poderlo ver, tiene que ser rápido.
Abril explains that cow manure is a host for microorganisms that help regenerate the soil. Without the traditional use of antibiotics and anti-parasitic drugs on cattle, beetles like these grow in abundance in cow dung. They oxygenate the soil. Soon the grass on his property looked different.
Alfonso says his cattle was grazing here a day ago, and it looks like a delicious salad because there's 8 different species that they could eat from on this ground for 5 days.
What also helps produce healthy forage is the quick rotation of cattle on the property. Vegetation can regrow while cattle is grazing somewhere else. This rest period allows grass to develop deeper root systems, which reduces soil erosion and increases nutrients. Experts on rotational grazing say this ultimately improves the soil's ability to retain water, and carbon is captured and restored. This helps farmers to mitigate and adapt to some climate change impacts. Abril has noticed the difference in his soil when he is reforesting. He is planting moriche palm, which grows in the region's swampy soil. Abril claims efforts to plant moriches have prospered more easily now and grow faster.
Pues el cultivo sí se sembraba en el invierno, excelente. Mientras había agua, lógico, estaba bien. Pero cuando llegaba el verano, como era un suelo ahí, como decimos los llaneros, cascajudo, entonces estaba ahí, entonces luego el suelo hacía esta figura, apretaba y ahorcaba la plántula.
This farm is in Colombia's Orinoquia region, which is known as Colombia's last agricultural frontier. Large-scale rice and soy farms, African palm, and livestock are growing in number. In fact, the region is Colombia's highest producer of corn, soy, rice, and livestock. But this area that covers 22% of Colombia is also home to a variety of ecosystems. mountains mixed with foothills, gallery forests, flooded savannas in one part of the year, and wetlands. It is rich in biodiversity with a variety of birds, amphibians, and even jaguars and cougars that prowl at night. But as most biodiversity hotspots, overexploitation and unsustainable land use are pushing these species out. Hugo Tobar's grandfather was also a Colombian cowboy of the Orinoquia region more than 100 years ago. But he made a pact with nature back then. Unlike other cowboys who would cut down forests, he would work alongside them.
Acuerdos mínimos con la naturaleza, entonces él hacía cosas muy sólidas, pero siempre respetaba, talaba por ejemplo solamente si era necesario y solamente si había la cantidad de árboles suficientes para que se repusiera. Entonces él siempre tuvo como digo yo, pacto con el medio ambiente de respetar los bosques, de respetar los cauces de agua, de respetar las sabanas. Eso es lo que él hacía. Él nos lo enseñó y es una manera súper bonita de enseñar, porque cuando tú enseñas con el ejemplo, es mejor que si te sientas y te dan como una cátedra magistral formal de esto debería ser así o debería ser así. Él lo hizo, nos mostró el camino y hoy seguimos como recorriendo esa misma senda.
His grandchildren are keeping the legacy alive at the Hato El Boral Natural Reserve. This is a cattle ranching farm that is now an example of forest conservation. El Boral is one of 310 properties that make up the CO2 Bioinitiative. Operated by the Colombian Cataruben Foundation, the CO2 Bioinitiative is a REDD+ project, the global framework to protect forests as part of the Paris Agreement. Under the CO2 Bioinitiative, small, medium, and large-size property owners receive carbon credits in exchange for conserving a total of 312,000 hectares of forests. The conservation efforts are verified by experts who visit the properties and measure the amount of carbon sequestration.
Nos encontramos una sorpresa súper bonita, es que alrededor del 20% del área del Hato está constituida por bosques. Y uno dice, wow, esto era un montón, porque uno sabía, pues sí, por allí hay un bosque, por allá hay otro bosque, pero yo no había como captado la magnitud de la vuelta.
Through the CO2 Bioinitiative, private properties have joined in on conservation for the next decade, an important effort in the threatened Orinoquia region. The Humboldt Institute in Colombia says 545,000 hectares of land were converted for agricultural purposes between 2014 and 2020. But if the current trend continues, experts say in the next 6 years, another 537,000 hectares of forests could be transformed. This amount of land is more than 7 times the size of Singapore. Projects like El Boral are not only helping with forest conservation and wildlife protection, they provide a glimpse of what makes up this rare tropical savanna, which requires constant monitoring.
Toda la cantidad de animales y entonces empezar a ver el puma, está el jaguar, está el oso palmero, hay una cantidad de animales que habitan ahí, todas las aves. Por eso este tema de la COP en Cali para nosotros es tan importante. Estamos hablando de la biodiversidad, la cantidad de especies animales que habitan en nuestro territorio y cómo mantenerlos. Lugares como el Boral se vuelven supremamente interesantes para los temas de investigación.
Places like El Boral and La Esperanza are taking the lead in exploring the delicate balance of conservation and land use, important work in climate mitigation. They are sharing their practices with the world through ecotourism.
Va a haber cantidad de aves y van a haber cantidad de especies, porque aspiro que esto pueda ser un corredor para todas esas especies donde van a llegar a refugiarse y Dios nos dé la oportunidad de verlas.